Welcome to Whiskey and Whitetails, the show for those that hunt with a passion, drink with a purpose. I'm Gus.
I'm Matt.
And this week we have a special guest right here at Hollow Creek Distillery. Craig is the main guy here in the distillery.
Yeah.
Making all kinds of delicious stuff.
Owner-operator.
Owner-operator. Had a chance to taste all kinds of his cool stuff and do a barrel pick today.
Yeah. And we wanted to thank a few people. We're not going to have any of our actual sponsors. Well, you're going to get the ad reads, obviously, but we had an awesome experience, some barbecue. So Big B's Barbecue, if you're in the Columbia area and you want to have an event catered or just have anybody out, you can get some Big B's Barbecue. And they are Big BBQ25 on Instagram, Big B's Barbecue Sauce on Facebook. But yeah, out of Lexington, South Carolina, good stuff. I wanted to thank them for coming out.
Yep.
Hollow Creek Distillery as well. Always a great time coming out here. We had a great time. And then,
as always, thanks to our Patreon for
Yeah.
the support. Thanks to the Waypoint Network for having us. And thank for you, for the listeners, for your support and for following and commenting.
Absolutely. And if you want to do anything cool for us, just for fun, whether you watch it or not, you can go to YouTube, go to our Whiskey and Whitetails page on YouTube, and just while you're at work, just hit that little play button on the podcast. Just let it run. We are really close to monetization, really super close. And if you all just go in, you don't have to watch it. Just put it on, let it play. And we'll get there before the end of the year. So
That'd be great.
Just letting you know.
Awesome.
Cool. Enjoy the episode. Have a great day. Bam. Here we are live. Well, we're not live, but here we are at the distillery. We're at Hollow Creek today. We just did a Veterans Day barrel pick that comes out next month. We're super excited for it. It comes out on Veterans Day. And we're sitting here with owner operator, or do you call yourself a head distiller, master distiller? Like what are the words you use to describe yourself?
I usually use chief janitorial officer.
There you go.
That works.
Clean up all the shit everybody else doesn't want to.
Yeah, sounds right.
Is it okay if I cuss on
Yeah,
here?
absolutely. This is a cussing podcast.
Perfect.
Yeah. No, we don't. We're trying not to have too many rules because once you start putting rules in place, then people aren't who they really are. Right. And we always say that who you are as a person is 3 bourbons deep, and I believe that we're all at least 3 deep.
At least. Yes.
So you're getting real life us now.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So tell us about the distillery.
So Hollow Creek Distillery, we have been here for almost 10 years now. We opened up December the 26th of 2014, which I always tell everybody, there's your first lesson if you want to open a distillery. Don't do it the day after Christmas. We did because it was when our federal permit finally got approved.
Mm-hmm.
And at that point, hey, we're deep enough that it's time to sell something.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, on December 26th, you just missed Q4, which is this magical end of the year.
Sure.
And you're going into dry January where everybody says, hey, I'm going to drink less for the year. And
Sure.
And that's a real thing. I did dry January this year.
You did?
Yeah. I didn't think I was going to make it 30 days, but I did.
Yeah, I didn't like myself.
Yeah. I've never done it. And I was like, do you have can you physically do it?
Yeah.
And so then it became a bet to myself. And I was like, well, yeah, I mean, if I'm betting against myself, I'm going to do it.
Right.
But I don't think that I'll ever do that again.
So you did it once. You proved you could. There's no reason to anymore.
Exactly right.
Yep.
I always thought the November, or October, sober October, I always thought that was stupid because there's so many cool things that happen in October. The leaves are changing. There's a bunch of weddings and then Halloween. Right. Like who doesn't want to drink during Halloween?
Forget sober October. I mean,
So
that's
dumb.
the best time of year.
Yeah.
October, November is as good as it gets.
Yep.
I'm not putting bourbon down.
No.
Not gonna.
Hell no.
No.
Well, imagine going to somebody's house like October 15th and they live in the mountains and the leaves are changing and they got a campfire going there. And you're going to be like, oh, no, I'm sober this month. For what?
Yeah.
Nope, not me.
Imagine trying to get through a Thanksgiving holiday with the family without drinking.
Yeah.
With my family? Or your family? I mean, I might do it with your family, but I don't know.
You're definitely drinking if you're hanging out with my family. You could probably do it, Gus, with your family. You could probably do a dry November.
Maybe. But alcohol is more fun.
Yeah. It's true. It's
There
a great
is that.
spirit. It's I just love like the community side of it. Like talking to big distillers and small distillers are 2 different things. It's completely 2 different things.
Absolutely. Yes.
Like hanging out with you guys. I mean, this is the second time I've been up here. Second time I've actually done, we did a bottle of your own the first time, which was a ton of fun. That's a pretty cool reel that we did too. And then coming here, so we're doing this Veterans Day pick. So we had a bunch of veterans come, which are, normally a pretty good crowd.
Yeah. I think we had a great group today. I think
did
it
too.
was, we had 10 or 12 people here for the pick.
Mhm.
We tried 4 barrels, 2 barrels from each from 2 different mash bills. At least I thought we had 4 good ones to pick from, but I don't really get a vote.
Yeah. Well, I agree. I think all four were good.
Yeah.
If any of those were in a bottle, I would not turn it down.
No,
Cool.
certainly not.
What were the? Let's go through the like the stuff that you offer. And again, we're at the distillery, so there's going to be some background noise. No big deal. But if you were we had two different mash bills. So we had two. You want to go kind of through the product line that we did for the bourbon?
Sure. So, first mash bill we tried today, we had 2 barrels of William Allen. Everybody always asks me where the brand name comes from. It's really not all that original. William is my son's first name, and Allen is my middle name. So when you hire a marketing person and she starts brand development, this is the kind of thing you end up with. So it's our first namesake bourbon, and it kind of looks forward to the legacy we're building.
That's cool.
There's the line. The grain bill's pretty unique. It is 66% corn, 14% rye, 20% malted barley. So it's screaming high malted barley content. Both the barrels we had today were 5.5 years old. They spent the first 5 years in a char level 3.5 barrel, and they get transferred out into a finishing barrel. The finishing barrels we use are both charred and toasted. We use a heavy toast in the same barrel as a char level 3.5. That second barrel, usually in there about 6 months. And I tell everybody it's absolutely magical. Like the juice going in and the juice coming out in 6 months is unbelievable. You get a ton of color, a ton of flavor. We're still a young distillery, so I don't have a 15-year bottle to offer you.
Sure.
But we're starting to see it, 5 and 5.5 years as William Allen is developing a lot of the sweeter fruit notes that we did not see at 4.5 or, early 5s. The second 2 barrels we tried were a brand we call High Cotton. It's a much more traditional grain bill, 70% corn, 26% rye, 4% malted barley. You usually get a lot more of the peppery, spicy notes out of the High Cotton than you do our William Allen. Although I got surprised today, like the first High Cotton barrel we tried, when you nose it, it was just like pure butterscotch.
Yeah.
Floored me. Like that is
Yeah.
very unusual.
Okay.
And then the fourth barrel, the second barrel of High Cotton we tried, to me, it still had a sweeter flavor profile than this one typically does. So
It definitely did.
I thought they were great.
Yeah, they were all really good. I settled on 1, which I think a lot of people did. It was kind of a toss up between 1 and 4, which I was glad because 4 was my second favorite. But it was interesting to take 2 different mash bills and pick one of each that like hit, and all 4 were different. But the first one, and I said this during the pick, like usually when you go to a distillery pick, they give you some trash up front to just blow your palate out, so everything else tastes good.
Right.
You guys obviously didn't plan that. You just put them out, and I've never picked the first barrel. This is the first time I've ever done that.
I actually think this is the first barrel pick I've been on or been a part of that barrel number 1 was it.
Really?
Yeah. It's not common. It's not
at all. Even if it's a good barrel, most people, the first barrel they try, you kind of like slap your taste buds and wake them up, and you get that ethanol hit to start with. So then everything gets better after that. But I don't know. I actually tasted through all 4 of these last night. I wanted to make sure we had, 4 good barrels.
Sure.
Nothing that was, obviously needed to be blended.
Sure.
And then, you come back this morning and tried barrel number 1. And my first thought was, whoa, wait a minute. Where did this come from? Like, I did not drink this much yesterday before I tried these barrels.
Yeah.
But that was fantastic.
Yeah, I had a couple like palate warmer uppers, which I normally, I guess I probably do normally do. We usually have a couple drinks before we go into a pick, but yeah, like right off the bat, I wrote the most notes for the first one. And I always do notes different. I try not to spell out exactly what I'm doing because I don't want to influence anyone near me. So I make like little shorthand things, but I didn't even make notes on the third one. And the fourth one, I was like, don't need to make notes. This is my second favorite. But the first one, that's the most notes I've ever written down for myself on a pick. I mean, there was a ton of flavors. What did you think?
So I was, do you remember a barrel pick that I think you picked up in Charleston? It was a Buffalo Trace pick, and we talked about it forever because it had this really unique spearmint aftertaste that would linger. That reminded me the way that flavor lingered at the end reminds me of the way this William Allen does. And there's a cherry note that just lingers on the back end, and it just sits there, and it's so subtle but so enjoyable that it makes you want to keep going back to it. Because you don't get enough of it to really satisfy that. You want more.
Yeah.
And I just couldn't stop wanting to go back to it. And the second barrel we did, which was the same mash bill, it was very similar. I still got that cherry note, but I just like the full finish and the nose of the first one as well.
It's funny you said the spearmint because I had a spearmint Zen in this morning, and I was like, no, there's no way. And but now that you're saying it, then I guess it was. I just thought that I was pulling like residual Zen juice off my gums, but now it's like, yeah, I can definitely get that spearmint out of it.
There's a little bit of spearmint, but it's mostly the way that it hangs around.
Yeah, it hangs around great.
And it's mostly that cherry, and it's specifically like a cherry. And I told you, a cherry blow pop with the gum in the middle.
Right.
Like, I don't know what it is, but it's just every once in a while I'll drink a whiskey and I'll get a very specific note. And he and I usually don't do that. We're very broad, like grandma's cookies or a fireplace, or like, what does it remind you of? Like, just to help people connect, because people get, I don't know how to do all those individual notes. You don't have to, right?
No.
And I just enjoy connecting them to other things, not necessarily specific notes. But man, that cherry blow pop, it was super specific, just like Old Forester with the grape big league chew bubble gum. It's just a very specific flavor profile. It's really enjoyable.
So when you, as owner operator, what's your favorite thing about picking barrels? Is it when someone else does it or when you do it?
So my favorite part of it is seeing people do it for the first time.
Oh yeah, that's cool.
And mainly because most folks don't realize how much character each unique barrel has. Like, most people that have never done a barrel pick, if I say, hey, we're going to put 2 barrels of William Allen side by side and we're going to taste them and see which one you like the best, they're like, what the hell are you talking about?
Yeah.
Like, it's going to taste the same.
Yeah.
They don't.
Sure.
Yeah.
Like,
no.
It can be vastly different. You mentioned you took a lot of notes for number one. Like, I want to hit on this because, some people, and Gus, you mentioned some people have trouble picking out specific notes.
Right.
My approach is somewhat different, and I'm not saying I'm right. I'm probably wrong. I don't want to make this overly academic.
Sure.
We're trying to pick good bourbon.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
I don't take any notes at all. I'll taste through all 4. If I want to revisit one, I'll revisit one. It was 2 weeks ago. We went with bourbon to another bourbon at Tiffany, to another distillery, and did a barrel pick down there. Tasted through all 4. And she finally, we had been through all 4 and we're revisiting a couple, or a few people were. And she looked at me, she said, you haven't said anything. You haven't written anything down. Like, what do you think? I was like, number 4 is it for me. Y'all pick what you want, but there you go.
Yeah.
That's how I do it.
Yeah.
Well, the only reason I do it the way I do it is because typically when I'm brought along on a pick, it's not because they want me to pick what I like the most. They want me to pick what's going to sell. And so I'll usually write notes like, people are going to like this and this and this. And then I'll compare and be like, which one of these is the most? Like, because a lot of people don't like the super stringent alcohol taste, which I do. So if I come in here and I'm going to pick, not intentionally, I'm just probably going to pick the highest proof because I like the burn. I mean, I grew up in moonshine. I didn't grow up in aged whiskey. So for me, like, the more burn it has, the less of it you got to drink, the faster you're going to get drunk. And so that's literally what my mind goes through. So when I do picks, I'm like, don't think like that. You got to think, will they buy another one? Will they send someone a sample? Will they come back for more? And so I usually try and pick something that's going to help the store out. This is a little different because it's the distillery and the event that we're doing it for. I mean, these are going to sell, but it's like, if we're trying to sell, say you got 10 single barrels on a store floor, I want to make sure mine's one of the best.
Right.
And that's the only reason I write notes, but I've become such a habit of it that it's just the way I do it.
It's all, you make a good point there too. When you go on a pick, it's the first question always is, what are we picking here? You want me to pick my favorite barrel, or are we picking for a store and you want the one that's going to sell through the fastest?
Yeah.
That is usually 2 different barrels.
Right.
100%.
Which is where my notes come from. I'm always picking what's going to sell, because if we just pick what I like, it's like I don't even know that he would like it.
He probably wouldn't have a whiskey below 120 proof.
No, I think most people, if we just pick what I like, I think most people would be like, all right, that's a little bit much. And we've learned that because, like, for those in the whiskey industry, I mean, drinking something at 120 proof is every day. I mean, it's like, that's very common. Us teaching whiskey classes, I made that mistake going into a class, and I brought 110, 120, 130 to this class, and I gave them 110. They're like, wow. And I'm like, shit. Because that's the wrong shit with me. Yeah, I screwed up. So now it's like, I usually start people around 80, and then the highest I'll go in a whiskey class is like 110. And that's only because it's just the average person isn't they're just not drinking it that way.
Yeah.
Like the people that like the high proof stuff is few and far between. And I think, and I don't want to say that's like the people with the most profound palate, but in reality, I think that's it, because I'm not drinking bourbon because it tastes a certain way. I'm drinking it because I like that Kentucky hug. I like that
Mhm.
punch. Like I like to know that I'm drinking, something high, I'm drinking bourbon.
Right.
So stuff that's 80 proof, I just can't get into it.
I'm gonna be honest too. A lot of bourbons at higher proofs, they actually drink better.
I agree with you.
And ours are no exception. So both of these, we bottle 3 different expressions. We bottle a 90 proof small batch. We bottle a single barrel at either 105 or 107, depending on which mash bill. And then we bottle barrel proof stuff.
Mhm.
Of all that, you would think the 90 proof small batch is the easiest, smoothest sipper. It is my least favorite.
Yeah.
Now, maybe I've been in the game for too long. Maybe I just like alcohol too much, but I think all the single barrel expressions are by far my favorites.
Yeah, 100%. I tried the 3 that are in there. One was 107,
Yep.
90, 107, and 123 or something.
Yep, that's right.
So I had 123 first, and it had like that cinnamon amburana flavor, which is crazy because you said it never touched amburana wood,
No.
but it still pulled that note out somehow. Not super strong, because most amburanas, in my opinion, are way too much.
Right.
But I thought it had amazing flavor, and then I had the 107, love that too. And then the lower proof one, I just felt like I was drinking water. There's just not a lot of, which is totally fine. I'm not judging anyone's palate. It's just, for me, when it comes to picking something, if we were picking what I want, it's going to be the most flavor, whether that be alcohol or wood or whatever. The thing that when I walk away and I'm like, man, I could still taste that. But it's hard because you get up in these proofs, and then sometimes the tannins are so much that it dries your palate out. And it's like, I don't enjoy that at all. If it's super dry, not a fan.
No.
So to find a balance between not dry, high proof, tons of flavor, those are pretty rare. And I've had 3 now from here, and I think I've had 6 of your barrels.
Yes.
That's so half.
We're doing okay.
You're doing really good. It's really surprising.
Yeah.
Right here in South Carolina too.
Yeah.
You can make good bourbon in South Carolina. A lot of people don't believe it, but
Yeah. No, you definitely can. We've tasted and visited and built relationships with enough folks that are making whiskey in South Carolina to know that you can absolutely make. There are some whiskeys in South Carolina I would put up against any other whiskey in the country.
Yeah.
There just is, and what you have going on here is no exception.
No one says it anymore, but when the bourbon boom first started, probably 18, 19, when it was kind of like picking up steam,
Yeah.
I heard, I don't remember who it was, but it was a South Carolina distiller. I think it doesn't matter, but I remember them saying that Julian Van Winkle came down here and tried. Now I remember who it was. Anyway, he came down here and tried it, and he said, I think South Carolina is the next Kentucky as far as bourbon goes. And to know that Julian said that, and then you start thinking about it, and it's like, there's a lot of distilleries here. Some of them are doing this moonshine, sweeter stuff, additives, lower proof. But the ones that actually are releasing barrel proof stuff, the ones that are putting out quality product that is aged, I think he's right. I mean, there's a lot of Kentucky bourbons that I would shrug off immediately for a South Carolina bourbon.
so I am probably the most biased person you can have involved in this conversation at all.
No, it's good to be proud of your stuff, though.
But at the end of the day, I do think there are a handful of distilleries in South Carolina that are going to absolutely make a splash.
Yeah.
What is your? I'm pretty sure I know the answer, but what is the biggest challenge for an operation this size to be able to make that splash, to get to that, whatever that threshold is?
It's actually a lot. But I would say the biggest challenge is getting people to try the juice.
Okay.
Because we are in South Carolina.
Yeah.
And it's not Kentucky.
Sure.
We are a small distillery. And if I'm being brutally honest, most small distilleries don't produce the greatest products you've ever had.
Sure.
Once we get people to try the juice, we do pretty well. Now, the flip side of that too, or one of the contributing causes to that, is I am not a marketer. Like, if you want to make anything in the world, from whiskey to whatever, machine parts, I'm your guy. If you want to tell stories and market, Like I'm 10 years in and still learning this. I'm not very good at it yet.
That's one thing I was going to say. You said that you're still a young distillery, but you've been around for quite some time. I mean, when did you started 10 years to this year?
Yes.
Yeah. So you're 10 years in, and you're putting out stuff that's, I mean, you've had 6, 7, 8 year stuff already.
We had a couple of barrels that are 8.
Because I tried
That's
it.
our-
You had one over here that I tried that it was
Yes,
8.
Yes.
Yeah. And so it's like, yeah, and that's something that a lot of people don't understand is like saying that you're a small new distillery. 10 years is still a small new distillery. I mean, it's like
Absolutely.
it takes a long time to grow.
Yeah, we were I was talking with somebody earlier. It actually may have been you guys
It
when
was-
we first got
yeah.
here. One of the scariest things for me in this industry is the thought of actually taking on investors,
Mhm.
because now all of a sudden you've got someone that you owe returns to, or that has certain expectations. And this is a very slow distillery, very slow industry. Like
Sure.
it takes a while. If you say, I'm going to come in and start up a distillery and, even a really low bar, just be profitable in a couple of years, you're going to be hard pressed.
Yeah.
I really think it takes minimum 10 years to build a reputation
Sure.
and to actually have something worth owning.
Yeah.
If you take on investors, outside money or whatever,
Yeah.
10 years is a long time.
Sure.
I loan you my money. I'm not waiting 10 years for it to come back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's also like we live in the state and we're pretty aware of most distilleries. Not all, obviously. There's a ton of distilleries here. But the first time I got an invite up here, I have this terrible habit of not looking into something before I do it because I don't want to trick my mind.
Right.
And it's just like whiskey. Like I don't want to know really anything. Blind is the way to go.
Yes.
So coming up here, I didn't look you up at all. And I was under my own impression. Nobody gave me this impression that you were brand new. It was probably someone else's distillate. And we were coming up here to taste something that somebody else made for you and you aged in a warehouse, which is how most places do it.
Sure.
And to find out that you'd been here 10 years already, that to me, I was like, well, how have I never heard of that? As someone that's in like this industry. And that just goes to prove how hard it is to build a brand, to get your stuff out there and let people know that it's there and let them come and have the chance to try it. And then getting repeat customers off of that. And like you guys have done a lot of stuff to keep people coming back because you do. I mean, every time I'm here, there's people in and out of that front door. Like it seems like a revolving door of customers.
Yeah. So we're only open Thursdays, Fridays, Saturdays. Thursday and Friday, if you come in, is not going to be as busy. We'll get a lot more time for one-on-one interaction with whoever's working that day. Saturdays, we stay pretty busy. Like you've seen cars come and go all day today, and this is our slow time of year. Like college football is the one thing that actually slows us down. Welcome to the Southeast. Don't fight it, embrace it.
Yeah, there's a game today. I'm surprised how many people are here
Right.
knowing there's a game today, right down the road.
Yes, big game today.
Yeah.
Ole Miss and Columbia.
Yeah. But you guys, what else have you done in order to keep people coming back? Like one of the things is the birthday bottle.
Yep. So you always got to find some kind of angle, right? So that was one of the first things we did to actually get people to come out here, because the other piece of this is we're not like in town.
Yeah.
Like Lexington's still a fairly small town and it's 10 miles down the road. So we got to get folks to drive out here. So one of the first things we did was say, hey, if you'll come out during the month of your birthday, we'll give you a free bottle of booze.
That's cool.
Now, it's not any bottle. You get to pick between either a cinnamon whiskey or a vodka. And the one thing we ask is that you take a picture of it here, post it on whatever social media you have. And that's the way you, quote unquote, pay for your bottle. But what it does, it helps us get out in front of people. So now you're going to drive out to try everything, right? Because we're going to offer you a tasting of everything. You get a free bottle of either white hot cinnamon whiskey or low water vodka. But we're going to let you try everything while you're here, which means I got a pretty good chance of selling you something else.
Right.
And not only that, a lot of your friends are going to see your posts.
Sure.
And they're going to say, well, what's this? So that was our first kind of, I don't know, tweak for some free or efficient low cost marketing.
Sure.
Recently, barrel picks have been a great thing for us. This is the second time you've been up here for one, or the first time was like a bottle your own event. But barrel picks are always a good way. Just all kind of fun stuff.
Yeah, and I will say, Gus and I both tried earlier the cinnamon whiskey. If you like cinnamon whiskey, and we have a lot of, I know that we do have a lot of people that drink Fireball, because every time I talk shit about it, we get told. But your cinnamon whiskey, no additives, 3 ingredients.
3 ingredients.
It's so good.
It's amazing. It really tastes like those Red Hots, like, or not the, what are they called? The little Fireball things, right? The cinnamon.
Oh yeah, the fireball, a little red,
Yeah,
hard,
red.
like,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's exactly what we're going
That's
for.
what it tastes like. It's amazing. And 3 ingredients I love. And because like the regular cinnamon whiskey stuff is so sugary, it's just, they just put syrup in it and you can taste all it. And I just don't like it. That's why a lot of people don't like it. But yours, it's clear and it tastes like you're chewing on cinnamon. I mean, it's really good.
Yeah.
So I would take that free bottle every year and happily post it.
So here's the pitch. It's called White Hot Cinnamon Whiskey. There are only 3 ingredients. It is corn whiskey, cinnamon leaf oil, and cane sugar. It's got a third less sugar than all the big national brands. That's why it's not so thick and syrupy. All natural, no propylene glycol or anything like that. Not to call anybody out, but
no, feel free. This is the home of calling people out.
Yeah, we call them like we see them on the show. We've never really shied away from.
We've made some enemies.
Some saying what we like and don't like. But yeah, I think when I drank that just out of habit and experience, I expected a thick, oily kind of thick mouthfeel, typically from the stuff that they add to it, and it didn't have it at all. And like I said, it was a very clean. I don't know the right word. Clean is good, but like sharp, but not in a bad way.
It's
cinnamon flavor. Yeah, it's to the point. Like it tastes. It
tastes like really it's supposed to taste.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
Cool. It's fascinating. And then you also you have a few releases. So you guys just did one for a pet charity.
Yep. So I think it was like 3 or 4 weeks ago. We did. We called it Distillery Dog Days.
Okay.
Or Distillery Dog Day. I wanted to shorten it to Triple D's.
Nice. I like that.
And my slogan was "Come play with these puppies."
Yeah,
I love that. For some reason, working with a bunch of women out here, I couldn't get them to go with it.
That's surprising.
You probably would have had every biker within 50 miles.
Yeah.
Jam packed in this.
Especially if you put that on a t-shirt. I just saw a guy earlier. He had that Harley shirt on. Said, "If you could read this, the bitch fell off."
Yes.
And I was like, "Yeah,
he would have been here.
He would have been here for come play with these puppies, these Triple D's." Yeah, he would have been all over it. He would have bought a shirt.
Yes, he would have.
Yeah.
Anyway, the event turned out great. We did a food drive. We made our first dog toy and sold it. All proceeds going to Final Victory Animal Rescue. It's one of the local animal rescues here. And then we took cash donations as well. All in all, we raised, it was $2,200, I think. And then there's another donation that we're going to make from the dog toys on top of that. And then the food drive, most of the time you see these things where they say, like, we'll get a barrel and pack the barrel is kind of the theme of the food drive. It's like, well, we're a functioning distillery. We got a huge scale. Let's try to raise a ton of food.
Oh, yeah.
Literally 2,000 pounds. And everybody thought I was crazy. We ended up raising 3,200 pounds of food.
Wow. Nice.
Hell yeah.
We took it over there to the shelter for the pets over there. And then they're like, what the hell do we do with all this? Like, they were shoving it everywhere.
That's actually a really good deal, because if you were going to go in and buy a small bag of food, you're like, I'm not going to show up with this. I got to buy the big one.
Right.
Because we're trying to hit a number. That's actually really smart. That's a good way to raise money.
So that turned out great. The other thing we've done, and we started really late last year, and we've done it through this year, and we're kind of continuing to build on it. It's a little bit of a secret sauce here. So if you're a distiller or a distillery owner, don't listen to it. Special releases, y'all, it is freaking magic.
Mm-hmm.
So right now we're doing usually 2 special releases a month. And it can be anything. We do flavored vodkas. We do flavored whiskeys. We're going to do this Veterans Day release on Veterans Day weekend. It's been great.
Special release is the way to go. We do some bottle sharing with people. Like, they send me a bottle, send them a bottle, something local, just so you can get, because there's picks all over the place now. But it's like, if I can get a pick from Indiana through Kyle or somebody, like, I'll send him picks from South Carolina. He'll send me picks from Indiana. And even him, being a huge whiskey nerd, has a ton of stuff. And I'm not talking shit, Kyle, and I listen, I love you. But he'll say things like, this is a one and done, which is every limited release or single barrel. Right. They're all one and dones. But when you word it that way, like, you'll never get the opportunity to buy this again. This is only happening one time.
Right.
And everybody, even like bourbon nerds, get into it. And it's definitely a great way to market something. especially when you have it towards a cause. And a lot of places won't donate proceeds to anything, and you guys are actually doing that.
Sure. It works out pretty well for us. I don't know how it is in other states. In South Carolina, if you run a distillery, you get to operate a gift shop, which allows you to work in the retail space of the industry too. So if we make the juice and then we sell it at retail, like our margins are pretty good. I'm not gonna lie. So it opens up the door for us to be pretty dang generous.
Sure.
Yeah.
I'm sure somebody on here is going to watch this and tell me I'm stingy and just out for money. But anyway,
Well,
we donate a good bit.
I will say there's plenty of distilleries you can go after if you think that he's not being generous.
There's plenty of distillers that don't do shit for their
Yeah,
community.
they don't do anything. And that's one of the things that we always talk about when we come here. Like last time I came here, we did the bottle your own, and this time with the barrel pick, I always make sure I tell the people that are here, like, the whole point of this stuff is to support your local distiller. I mean, that is where this came from. The beginning of the whiskey industry in this country, in North America, was supporting the guy down the road that distilled, because you probably can't or don't know how or don't have the experience. Like, he knows what he's doing. We'll just take our extra corn to him. And today there's not a lot of people farming corn, but there's a lot of people that drink whiskey.
Right.
And why you would support a national brand, I'd get, but also you should start with what's local. Like, support the people around you. It makes perfect sense to me to support local business. And I know people say it all the time, but especially in the whiskey community, because that's how it started. Every town should have a distillery in it, and that's where you should go get the majority of your liquor.
Yeah.
And most of those people don't do any kind of drives or giving back to the community, or they don't even care about the community. They're just trying to make money. Where, I mean, we say it all the time, like, this isn't our full-time job. Like, we do this because it's fun and we like it. And
hey, it's not my full-time job either.
Same for you, and that was the point. It's like,
well, when you take opportunities and you make an effort to connect with the community in the ways you guys are doing, that builds like generational customers, right? You have events out here, people are bringing their kids out here. Guess what? Those kids, those are potentially future customers, right?
Yeah,
like,
we've been coming to Hollow Creek Distillery since I was 10 years old. Man.
I mean, well, we joke about it, but that's the kind of,
you should do that
that's
too.
all part of it.
You should do birthday shots for like local customers. Like, if it's like for their kid, when they turn 21, you come back, see me when you turn 21, we'll do a birthday shot or whatever.
No, it's hilarious. My kid's 13 years old now. He goes to the local middle school out here, Gilbert. And, even when he was in elementary school, he would come home talking about, because they got a dress code and everything else. You're not supposed to wear anything alcohol related. All right.
Of course.
So every time he would see a kid in a Hollow Creek Distillery shirt, he'd come home and tell me about it.
Nice.
So there's been Hollow Creek Distillery shirts and hats and everything. And then one year when Will moved from, I guess it was primary school to elementary school, or something, he changed schools. It might have been from elementary to middle. Meredith went out for registration. She's like, all right, new school, clean slate. Nobody knows us. Let me just get this kid registered and get out of here. First table, somebody pipes up, says, hey, it's the liquor lady.
Damn.
That's probably gonna be cool for him though, going to high school eventually. Like,
maybe
people are gonna be like, your parents have a distillery, you can get us booze.
I tell him it's not gonna be fair when he makes it to high school.
Yeah, you better.
Oh my gosh.
You see all these cameras in here? I put them up for you.
Right.
It's not for the thieves. It's so I know you're not out here supplying high school parties with it. Yeah.
The quickest way to lose business would be to get tied up with some underage drinking scheme. Dude, that'd not be good. No. I can tell a story about that.
I was gonna say. I was like, are you gonna?
It sounds like there's a story there.
There is a story.
It happened to him when he was young. Yeah, somebody he knows very well.
I know very well. And
they were trying to be safe about it. Like, if you're gonna do it here.
Yeah.
Didn't work out.
Fuck, I'll tell a story. So I won't name names, but high school kids were planning to have a get together and drink. Parent decided, I overhear you guys. Why don't you guys just come here after prom? I'll collect keys. I'd rather you guys do this, since it sounds like you're going to do it anyway, where I can keep an eye on you. I'll collect keys. You guys stay here, watch movies, hang out, and we'll be safe about it. As opposed to them running off to do it elsewhere.
Get in a hotel and everything
That
else.
information apparently spread, and a resource officer at the school heard about it, and then they waited until hours after the prom when they knew what would be going on, and then they showed up at the house.
With
and
cops.
Lots of people got arrested and in trouble, and it was
people close to him got
very
in a lot of trouble.
Very, very shady the way it all went down, and like why you would know there was something risky going on that you felt was risky and illegal, and would wait to purposely make sure it happened before you took action.
Yeah.
I know that's not technically entrapment, but it sounds very close. I don't know.
Trying
There's
to
a
catch
gray
him.
line there. I mean,
It's like, they're going to do it anyway. So it's like pretty responsible, I think.
See, I'm on the same page.
And I'm not a parent, so I can't really have an opinion on this, but I know when I was a kid, if somebody's parent was like, "Hey, just do it here."
Right.
I would have been like, yeah, that sounds way better because to be honest with you, I was going to sleep in the park tonight because I couldn't go home drunk. And like, going to get mugged.
Or do something dumb or
try to
trust
drive.
a friend who says they're fine and they're not, like, it's just not worth it. But anyways,
not that we have a lot of high school kids listening, but you're not fine. It's probably till mid 30s before you realize, okay, I know exactly what can go wrong here.
I wasn't fine at all.
Yeah.
All those years.
Turns out you weren't fine. You're like, no, I can still, my eyes are open. I'm okay. That's not true.
So 0.08 is a very small number.
It is. It's literally like I have a car. So I have a car, an older car. It's a European car. And so Euro cars have like the license plates that are longer.
Yep.
So I made online a South Carolina Euro plate that's like this long. It's got the South Carolina flag. It looks just like a South Carolina plate. It's got the number, and I have the sticker from the DMV on that plate. Zero reason for cops to care because there is nothing in the law about modifying a plate or anything. You have to have a plate on your vehicle with the tag and the state. Yeah. I've met all those qualifications. However, I could get pulled over for it.
Sure.
But knowing that limit is 0.08, which is what, a beer and a half, maybe 2 beers. But there's zero chance I would drive that to a bar because if I have 3 beers and drive home, even though I'm good, they still had a reason to pull me over.
Yeah.
And you're hammered off 3. You lose everything off 3 beers. It's just,
3 beers will cost you 10 grand.
Yeah. That's what I've read.
If you're lucky. That's all it'll cost you.
None of us drink and drive. That's a really stupid thing to do. But
that's why we're having this conversation.
You may have dinner and have a beer and drive home. Well, if you have dinner and 2 beers and drive home with something that gets you pulled over, and you could potentially lose everything.
Eat steak.
So your son got registered. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So your son got registered for school immediate. Like, do you guys get that a lot when you go places, or is it just kind of these places where? Because I imagine like this isn't a huge city, so you guys.
No, it's not a huge city.
Everybody knows everybody, especially if you've grown up around here, from here, right?
We get recognized.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's hard to go anywhere.
And honestly, that was never the plan at all.
Oh, of course, I'm sure it was.
What do you think about it now that you
have
have it?
Anonymous.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I'm gonna have my last pour before my 0.08 hits.
You're not the only one.
This is the one we picked. Yeah. That's always fascinating to me when people start a business and then they start to gain traction, but you're only like well known in one section. It's all alcoholics or people that drink. Alcoholic isn't the right word, but it's like, so if you go to like a super strict church, you would be anonymous.
Yeah, we're Lutheran. We drink in church.
Oh, do you? Lutherans drink in church?
Yes.
Nice.
What's the reasoning?
Communion.
Oh, communion. Okay. So wine? Yeah.
Wine.
Do you do like, is Lutheran like Catholicism where it's like it becomes blood, or it's like it's still wine?
They bless the wine as a sacrament. I don't think I've ever heard a Lutheran pastor say this actually physically
now
becomes
blood.
Yeah,
Okay.
Is the blood or is the
I always thought that was weird because I went to Catholic mass one time and I wasn't allowed to, but I did it anyway because I wanted to have the full experience. And it was not blood; it was wine.
You thought,
even though they said it was blood, I just didn't. I didn't know.
Right.
Never done it. But it tasted like I've tasted blood and I've tasted wine. That was wine.
Usually, it tastes like Manischewitz.
Which is actually not a terrible wine. Honestly, it's really sweet. Yeah, like if somebody's like, "Oh, I don't drink," and I'm like, "I got this Jewish wine for you. You're gonna drink that."
Yep,
it's really good. It tastes like grape juice. That's the first wine I ever had. Well, outside of muscadine wine, which is also super sweet. So when I had my first bottle of like, I won't bring that one in. But when I had my first bottle of like really nice wine, like a $600 bottle of wine, this guy had at that beach house, the people that we don't talk to anymore.
Oh yeah,
$600 bottle of wine. He poured me like a hefty glass of it, and I was like, "This is going to be it was terrible. I hated it. I absolutely did not like it. Like I forced myself to drink it, but yeah, I'd rather have the Jewish wine.
Yeah, I do not have a refined wine palate.
Yeah, me either.
Put it like that.
No, I don't. Like I said, I don't like tannin. Right. So if it's super dry, I'm just not into it. And that's what most wine is. I think is just tannins.
Should get some of that. What's that stuff they make in North Carolina? It's a North Carolina brand. They got like lighthouses.
Yeah. That's the one that makes
Duplin wine. Yeah.
Duplin.
They make nice like muscadine and like sweeter wine.
Yep.
Yeah. But that shit'll give you a hangover worse than fucking getting kicked by a donkey the next day.
That is.
You ever had bum wine?
No. Bro.
We had a bum wine party where the only thing you were allowed to bring is bum wine. So we're talking Night Train, Wild Irish Rose, Mad Dog 2020, things like that.
Mm.
I bought Night Train because, you know, the song, the AC/DC song. And I
Yeah.
was like, yeah, I'm about to roll on a Night Train. I'm going to find out what they're talking about.
Oh boy.
I got that, and I got Wild Irish Rose. I drank an entire bottle of Night Train and an entire bottle of Wild Irish Rose.
That hurt.
I woke up like 3 hours after I went to sleep in a paralyzed state, and my entire body was full of Charlie horses. It had sucked all the moisture out of my body, and I was just in so much pain. It was the worst, absolute worst. And I was like, I'll never drink wine again. Turns out, like, real wine isn't really that much better.
No, it's not.
Whiskey's the way to go. What's your favorite? We'll do your favorite non-yours whiskey that you've ever had, and you're like, even if it's a single barrel, doesn't matter.
My favorite non-whiskey or favorite whiskey non-Hollow Creek Distillery.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Like, there's nothing that, because I know both of ours is the same, which is a
I
really
don't know that
random.
I have a screaming head above shoulders favorite.
Really?
Honestly, I mean, I
You
will
want-
say this: a lot of the allocated stuff out there. I mean, it's good. I'll drink it. I don't chase it like a lot of people do.
We don't either.
No, we don't either. The thing we had would be like a one and like you want to say it at the same time. So we'll say the distiller. Do you remember the distillery? I know you remember who picked it.
Maybe. I'm confused. What are we doing?
Our favorite whiskey we've ever had, like that was just mind blowing, crazy. If you could buy another bottle, you buy it today.
Oh,
And it's a brand that you would never guess. I don't know what happened to
Oh.
this bottle. This
Really?
barrel was unique. It was like
oh, yeah. The one. Yeah. You want?
So
You want?
these are the fun ones.
You want?
Yeah.
Do you want to name the name? What they named it, or who made
I don't
it?
remember what they named it, but the actual company.
Go ahead. You can say it.
I'll do 1, 2, 3.
Okay. Go.
1, 2, 3.
Barrel.
Barrel. Yeah. It was the fact that we both agreed on it.
Really?
Yeah. It was
It's
a
called-
barrel whiskey.
It's
What's
called.
it
They called it Cinnabon,
Cinnabon. That's right.
and it had almost the exact same cinnamon profile as that,
It-
but
100
from a barrel.
140 proof. It
Yeah.
tasted like that at 140 proof. Crazy.
Really?
And
Yeah.
it was at Justin's House of Bourbon out of Louisville, Kentucky.
It's a store pick, and I milked that fucking
Dude.
I milked that bottle for like
It
2
was
years, like a
unbelievable.
little pour here and there because it was so good.
It was it tasted like cinnamon mouthwash, but it was 140, 138 or something.
Yep.
It was up there.
big,
Never would have
yeah.
guessed.
big red gum is what it
Yeah.
reminded me of. Yeah, so good.
Every single sip was like you just put a fresh stick of big red gum in your mouth. It
It
was
was
so crazy.
It was just wild to me. Like we've gotten, and I've gotten even from today, hints of cinnamon out of
Yeah.
things, but that was just so forward. I've never experienced it.
I don't know how they did it. Don't know how they did it. And I didn't believe that it was that high a proof. Like I brought it home and put it in my proof, what is it called? Alcohometer. I put it in there to see. Yeah,
It was.
it was mind blowing. And but it was like not a cinnamon, like artificial flavor. It was like a wood, not Amburana, but just like a wood. Like if you took a cinnamon tree and what you think a cinnamon tree would taste like, that was pretty much it. So crazy, but it doesn't taste like bourbon, so it's hard for me to. But it was a bourbon.
Yeah, it was.
But that stood out the most to me out of everything. And I'm typically not really a cinnamon. I'm more of a banana flavored guy. But
Well, I think it was just the uniqueness of it. It's like
Yeah.
you're pouring a very, very, very bourbon looking bourbon, but
Yeah.
it does not taste
Yeah.
like it had some tannin notes and some other things that you're gonna get pretty standard with any bourbon. But man, that cinnamon was something else.
and I haven't had a barrel since then that I liked. A barrel bourbon barrel.
Yeah.
I haven't had one since.
Really?
Yeah.
I've
Nice
tried a
save.
bunch of them. I just don't like them. I don't know why.
There's one that we had that was it was pretty bad, and you gave it to me, and I know why. It was a barrel, and it was either blended or it was a single malt, but it was bad.
Yeah.
It was not good. Anyways,
I can't think of any brands though. Like that I
Sometimes you
just
find real dogs.
yeah.
Like even a brand you like, there's some bad ones.
oh, 100%.
Yeah.
What blows my mind is you go on a barrel pick and you got 4 of them out in front of you or whatever, and you go through it and you think that one's not it. Like that's clearly out. And there's like 2 or 3 people there. Oh, that's fantastic. I'm like,
Yeah.
what the hell are you drinking?
Yeah.
Because it ain't the same thing I'm drinking.
Well, it's like the guys earlier, and they were like, they want to do the Pepe Le Pew label for it.
Yeah.
And it's like, if you could sell it,
Right.
sounds good. But I promise you, if you give people a taste of that, they're going to turn away immediately, even if it tastes good. Like I was telling you about that old 55 I had. I could not get over the nose.
Right.
Tasted fine. But that nose.
Is it the Sharpie?
terrible?
That would be so. It's one of those things where if you had a group of guys, that were all going in Like, I mean,
Yeah.
I say a group, I mean a big group of a club or whatever, and everyone was on board to have a unique, just
Yeah.
kind of off the
Yeah.
wall, then maybe everyone pitches in and you grab that barrel. But if you're just trying to get something you know is gonna sell, that's not gonna cut it. It's
Yeah,
just not gonna
that
work
is
because
definitely
most
one of
people will
those.
not get past that smell.
What would you do typically on a barrel that smells like that? Blend it?
Either blend it or leave it in there for.
Let it just see if the flavor goes away, or the
Yeah.
smell goes away.
I personally, my opinion, if it had a great flavor profile, the nose was just wrong, I'd leave it for 6 months, come back, revisit it.
Okay.
Yeah.
If it's still trash on the nose, then blend it.
What's going on with the nose? Like, why? Because most of them have kind of a similar nose. It's really hard to pick because usually nose and palate are not going to line up, and when they do, it's like a crazy thing for
Yeah.
me anyway. But what's the move for you? Like, what do you think's causing that sometimes? Because it's like you dump that thing behind us, and you fill how many barrels are you filling with that? 10?
No, out of one run, we'll get, well, out of a single run of the still, we'll get about 2.5 barrels.
Okay, so you run.
And then I mean, we're small. We work out of totes a lot. So you get about 5 barrels on a tote.
Okay.
But it is very possible. It always happens. It's not very possible. It always happens. You fill 5 sister barrels and they will be vastly different.
Oh yeah.
It's like, the distillate was the same.
Sure.
Yeah.
The barrels I ordered were to the same specs. They came out of the same cooperage on the same day.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just wildly different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know. And I'm not the smartest guy ever by any stretch. The only thing I can figure is like the trees themselves. There's some difference there.
So we've talked to cooperages about this, and just from them touching the wood and smelling it and putting it together and looking at the cross sections of it, they can tell if a tree, it could be like 2 trees that were pulled out of the same day, same spot. Just one was 6 feet higher than the other one.
Yeah.
And that tree was more starved of nutrients than the other one. And they can see it in the grain, and they can tell that these 2 barrels are going to be wildly different.
Yes.
Or if it's a flat field and they all kind of grow in the same spot, and they're like, yeah, it depends on age, or if the tree ever got a disease or whatever, like there's going to be some flavor differences in it. But if they pull it off of a side of a hill, every single one's going to be completely different.
Yeah.
And I also wonder how many times they try and keep it, because I don't think that that's very possible, really, to cut a tree and keep all of that wood from that one tree together. So I think you're probably getting 20 different trees in each barrel. I think that's possible as well.
Yes,
Because when they
absolutely.
season them, they just throw them out in a lot. Like, you have
Right.
no idea. And also, they're not all cut the same size. You need different size staves to create a barrel. So it's like, I wonder if there's like one nasty tree, and if you got 3 staves from that nasty tree in there, it just ruins the barrel.
Completely possible.
Yeah.
Completely possible.
It's just so fascinating, the amount of pieces that you could put together into this puzzle, and it still wouldn't complete the puzzle.
There's too many variables to narrow it down and isolate independent variables. And honestly, that's why I love it.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of science you can do behind this.
Sure.
But at the end of the day, I don't think you can take all the art out of it.
No.
So
I always think back to
It's definitely an art.
the industry predecessors, people who were making this stuff from the very beginning. They didn't have all this
Right.
technology and equipment. They were doing stuff based on how to look, how to taste, how to smell, how to feel. I mean, that's the art, I guess, if you will.
Yeah.
Of it. You can use a bunch of technology to support what you think or
Right.
verify or validate what you believe about your product. But at the end of the day, how it tastes and smells is what's going to sell it or not.
That's what's fun about it too, is like people in the industry, like I guess the social media, not distillers, but the people in the social media industry, they like to get a sponsor and hold that sponsor and be like, this is it. This is who we stand behind.
Mhm.
And we watch accounts fall from that because they get in there and they take money or whatever it is they're taking, and they just back this thing all the time. And now they're no longer allowed to go do other distilleries. Like, we do a lot with a lot of places because we like a lot of different stuff.
Sure.
Like, it's just, we try not to mention other brands when we're talking with brands, but you know who I'm talking about. Like, I work with this brand, I work with that brand, we work with everyone, and I like all of them for different things. But just coming up here, it's just uniquely different. And then knowing that Tiffany's involved and hanging out with her, she's always fun to see. And she's amazing for your company, by the way. Like, I know she's bringing a ton of people in here now.
Shout out to Tiffany Gibson.
Yeah.
Whenever you watch this, you have been fantastic for Hollow Creek Distillery.
That's awesome.
Bourbon at Tiffany's. Everybody check it out.
Yeah. 100%. We love her. She was like, bring your wife up here. And my wife was like, I really want to go, but I hate people. So she didn't want to come. But they get along great. And she's an awesome person to know. And she's doing great stuff. And she truly cares about the product too, which is another thing. It's like you're not just hiring an employee, you're hiring an enthusiast.
Right. I don't think I've ever met anyone as enthusiastic and just like deep into it as Tiffany.
Oh yeah.
Like,
I can scroll through text from her. It's all like very, like sometimes we talk about other stuff, but it's most of the time it's like, I just had this and I had this thought about it. And she's like comparing notes and flavors and stuff. And then she tells me stuff that I'm well up to date on everything y'all do from her.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's cool. And she's the one that made this happen. So shout out to her.
Like,
Also,
how many people do you get a random text from that says, "Hey, what do you know about furfural?" I've only had it from one.
It's a small circle.
What'd you tell her? Let me Google it.
I said, not as much as Seth.
Yeah.
That's what I said. Yeah, I know a little bit, but he's much more well versed than I am.
How hands-on are you now here?
I'm still pretty hands-on. We do have another girl working with us, Erin. She is our quote production lead. So anything that happens in this building, it's either her or I running the mash tun and still. If we're bottling or mixing a batch or something like that, then maybe we get some other people to help. But
yeah, and she's smart too. She's I don't want to. You're usually doing your job of like talking to everybody. Right. So when I have questions, I'll go to her and be like, "Tell me this. What was this again?" Because I brought some people with me, and I'm like, "No, this is a cool story." I was like, "But I can't remember it." So and I'll go to her
fantastic.
And she'll spit it out. What did you think, Gus, as your first like official?
It was fun. I enjoyed everything about it. But the process of going through the whiskeys, like we've done this before, just ourselves, but doing an official, it was really cool. It was fun seeing what I was tasting and what I was getting out of each one, what synced up with everyone else, and then what was like vastly different, right? Because there were some things that it seemed like everybody was hitting on, and then for different barrels, there were things that other people were pulling out that I just wasn't. And I even went so far as like going outside to try and smell, see if it changed anything, and just playing with different things to see if I could get what other people were. But it just goes to show that you can give people all the same thing, and people's palates are so vastly different. Like if someone's been chain smoking Marlboro Reds on the way up here, they're probably going to taste something different than what I taste versus if I just had a big chew in my mouth or whatever. It's everything is different. So it's cool just listening to people talk about the experience and go through the process. And I really enjoyed that it was as personal as it was here. Like he's been to some bigger ones at bigger distilleries, and you don't typically get people who are directly involved with getting their hands on the product. And so here you get to ask questions, talk with people who are intimately involved in the process. And that's an experience that you don't just get anywhere, I don't think.
The other thing too that you get here that you're not gonna get most places is like, for instance, wild turkey. It's no secret that's, I preach it all the time, how much I like just regular plain wild turkey 101. I love it. I think it's, if I go to a bar and they got 100 bottles and I don't feel like looking at them all, wild turkey 101 neat. Sometimes I'll do Jack with water. Yeah. Jack with water is, I don't know why I like it. Or I'll do like a well bourbon with sweet tea. Like I think that's pretty good. But it's it's like coming to, when I go to Wild Turkey, I got another one coming up next month. But when I go to Wild Turkey, we're hanging out with Eddie or Bruce or one of, but they've been doing it for so long. They're good at putting the face on. Like, I'm super glad you guys are here. This is awesome. You guys are the best barrel pick we've ever had. Right. They're all full of shit. They're just they're salesmen and they're giving you a thing. Like you're still new to the single barrel thing, so it's still like really fun here because you're actually interested. You give a shit what they pick. Like you want to learn. She said that they keep the tasting sheets. I've never heard of anyone.
I've never heard that either.
Yeah. Like you keep the tasting sheets, so you can see what people said about it, and it's like that's it just shows a different level of pick. It's like we're not here just picking something that. I mean, these guys do 10 barrel picks a day, every day of the week.
Right.
So for you, how many have you done now?
We've done a handful here, not a lot.
Like under 20?
Yes, under 20.
Yeah. So it's like you really care. Like it's for you, this is fun, and it comes through. You can see it. Like you're excited to tell people about the distiller. You're excited to talk about it, and you like meander and you mingle and you let people talk to you and bring up questions and that's to me that's what's really cool about this pick. It's a very different type of pick because it's like everyone everyone liked it. Everyone had a good time.
Right. So it's odd for me because I'm not really that much of a people person and I'm terrible with names and everything else. But when you're here for a pick, or if you just come in to visit for a tasting or a tour or whatever, I am a firm believer that relationships sell whiskey.
100%.
Sure.
So, you know, if I'm doing my job, we're going to talk, we're going to get to know each other.
Mhm.
And you may walk out of there and say, that is the biggest asshole I've ever met in my life. I'm sure some people have, but
Can't please everybody.
No.
I'll try.
I've been called an asshole more times than I can count.
Right.
Which, I mean, I guess it might be true, but if you get to know me, that's not really the case. Like most people just don't. So yeah, but it's talking to people has a substance.
Guy.
Well, thank you. I think you're a great guy too. I couldn't imagine someone calling you an asshole.
I think you're an asshole.
I know that. I'm aware. But I couldn't imagine someone thinking he was. He seems like a really nice guy.
No.
Yeah.
Ask my wife.
Okay.
Well, that's not a fair assessment. You
That's
anyone
fine.
you hang out with that much is going to have opinions of you. They still love you, but
True.
yeah, he gets on my nerves sometimes. I get that. That's why my wife's not here today. She's like, "You're leaving? Sick.
See ya.
Have a great time. Don't hurry back. I'm
Meredith
fine."
recently told me, I remember when you were nice.
Really?
Damn.
You let all this whiskey get to your head, huh?
Right. I guess.
Do you understand how much money I got in barrels sitting around the country?
Right.
You ever think about that? Does it make you nervous?
It's scary.
Yeah.
Yeah. Actually, it's not scary now because we're getting far enough into it that, like, all right, we've got good whiskey. We've got something we can sell.
Mhm.
But like when you put that first one down,
Mm.
like, you know, we're gonna sprinkle this thing with holy water and pray over it, and who knows? I hope it's good. South
Yeah.
Carolina hadn't really produced any good bourbon yet, but we're gonna try.
Sure.
Someone told me today that you were getting nervous about running out of stuff.
Oh, I'm not getting nervous. It's gonna happen.
Okay.
Like
Well, that's good.
we don't have enough bourbon.
Yeah.
We do not.
So do you have enough to sell to keep the place open until you can create more? Or are you going to have a dry spot? Or like, what do you think?
It'll be a managed dry spot.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we will definitely keep it open. We may be out of products sporadically.
Sure.
The other piece of it is like, we're not really trying to throw gas on this thing too
Yeah.
aggressively,
Mhm.
because if I fill a barrel today, it's 5 or 6 years before I'm going to sell it. We don't have a tremendous pipeline. Like I don't have 5,000 barrels sitting around.
Sure.
So I'm not going to go market like I'm trying to sell 1,000 barrels a year.
Right. Smart.
Yeah. I'm going to check that laptop, make sure the battery's not dead.
Oh yeah. It shouldn't be dead.
We ran out of pork.
He's looking at something. So
Nice.
at least the screen isn't blank.
No, we should be good.
Do I?
We good?
No, yeah, we're good.
Awesome.
Anyway, so what do you think the future holds for not only the property, but just the brand itself? Like what's the next move? Just keep doing what you're doing?
So we got some cool stuff that we're just starting up right now. We got to set the whiskey world aside for a minute. We're actually getting ready to start up some contract distillation for a couple of brands, vodka based stuff.
Cool.
And then we launched an NIL vodka name, image, and likeness for the University of South Carolina's NIL collective Garnet Trust.
That's a cool looking bottle too.
I love it.
Yeah.
I freaking love it. So it's called Garnet and Black Vodka. It's our first NIL product. I think that we will continue to flesh out that line to have a more comprehensive NIL product line for Garnet Trust.
Cool.
So if you're watching this and you're a Gamecock fan, go find you a bottle or 6. 25% of the proceeds from we donate 25% of all proceeds to Garnet Trust.
Nice.
So you want a better football team? Go buy some vodka.
Is that in a distiller? Or it's in stores too.
It hit stores this week.
Okay.
Nice. Very nice.
So when this comes out, you'll be able to.
Right. You'll be able to get it.
All right.
All the big stores, most of the mom and pops, like you'll be able to find it if you're in South Carolina. And then we're hoping next year maybe to get some online sales. So if you're outside of South Carolina, you can get your hands on one probably next year.
Who's your distributor right now?
So we are in the Anheuser-Busch distribution network. So
Okay.
it's by territory.
Okay.
The Columbia market and the Greenville market is KW Beverage. If you look at the South Carolina coast, it's Southern Crown Partners for the whole South Carolina coast. So it's not like we're not with one of the big three.
Yeah.
Where you just cover the whole state.
Yeah, like Breakthrough, etc.
Right. Yeah, you've got Breakthrough, RNDC, and
Glaciers.
Southern Glazers.
Yeah.
We were with one of the big three for a couple of years before we got in the AB network, and we're just a better fit with AB. Like they're still new to the spirits spirits distribution game, like huge beer distributor, but they're still pretty new in the spirits distribution game.
So they actually care and they promote the product.
We are meaningful.
Yeah.
Like we are very meaningful for.
Yeah.
Which is what you need, because a lot of these companies, we hear it nonstop from distillers. It's like, we try to get our stuff out there and we pay them to advertise, but they just don't. Like they just drop stuff off and I'm like, yeah, that's it. And other than the catalog that the liquor store goes through, and we've talked about before, like we're not going to do it. So if somebody wants this idea, feel free to take it. But if you were to create a distribution network that focused on craft or small or specialty spirits and offered the ability for you to do tastings, like you get 3 tastings a month around the state.
Yeah.
And then you have somebody that comes in there that is an executive bourbon steward or whatever, and they actually know what they're talking about. And then they get the brief from you and they go in these liquor stores and they have an event and they try to push the stuff. But no one does that here. They just literally drop it off at the back door, and then it's up to you to come in and look for it. Like if you don't know it exists, it doesn't exist. So the AB network is actually giving you some promotional stuff. They're showing people.
I'm thrilled to death with them.
That's good.
Nice.
So in Columbia, Joey and Brittany, shout out to you guys. You're doing great. And then down on the coast, Drew, thanks.
Yeah.
You guys move alcohol for us and we appreciate it.
That's cool.
Yeah. Y'all hit us up as well, because I got it'd be cool to have them on the podcast too and kind of talk how they're doing it differently. Yeah. Because I already know how everybody else is doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's pretty, even if you talk to the liquor store owners, like they will talk about the lack of service. And I haven't seen my rep in 6 months, and they expect me just to put my order in on the app and all this other stuff.
Yeah.
It's just, if you're a huge national brand and you're trying to sell rail cars of alcohol every month, then they're a great fit.
Yeah.
The big distributors are. If you're a startup brand, I mean, I don't know, maybe if you've got a big enough marketing budget, the big distributors are a good fit. But
yeah, the marketing budget is such a scam. We got taken for thousands working with a marketing company. I mean, I think that's most people's case, because they sell you this beautiful brick laid path to success. And then you're 2 months in, you're like, the fuck, nothing has changed. Right. And they're like, oh, we didn't tell you? This takes 6 months.
Right.
I'm like, oh, so I got to pay you thousands of dollars a month for 6 months before anything happens? Yes. I feel like that should have been in the first words of the contract. Right. Yeah, it's irritating. And then I made a huge mistake of talking to those ladies the way I did that time.
Yeah, well.
I had pulled a rap lyric out. I'm not going to say it again. But I pulled a rap lyric out that I thought was fitting for our company, and I described us with a rap lyric that's very vulgar and aggressive to 2 women, and regret that quite a bit. What are you gonna do?
Can't undo it.
Yeah. All right. Well, what else? Any final notes anybody should know? You got any events coming up you want people to come to?
So actually, when's this actually going to drop?
Monday.
So
day after tomorrow.
If this drops Monday, if you are able to come see us the following Saturday, I think it's October the 12th. We are actually going to have a triple release. We've never done this before.
It is October the 12th.
Yes, we were planning a double release, which would have been the first time we've done a double release on last Saturday, and then Hurricane Helene canceled that for us.
Yeah.
So we've got all the product already bottled for that, and we had another one planned for the 12th. So we're going to have triple release then.
Nice.
So everybody in the area, we are going to do a blood orange flavored vodka, which has been extremely popular. That's one I said we're going to make it once and we're done, kind of the one and done thing. And then
do an orange crush with that.
Right. But it was this is the 3rd time we've made it in as many months, and it's I had people upset with me, like visibly pissed that we were out of it. Dude, come on.
Do you have any hair right now?
Yes, we do. You can try it.
I'm gonna buy one.
That's a good problem.
I love an orange crush. So
we're gonna do that. We're gonna do a honey flavored whiskey. This is not a honey cask finish. This is a honey flavored whiskey. And then we're also going to do a blackberry flavored whiskey,
Mm.
which the honey flavored whiskey is the first time we've done it. The blackberry flavored whiskey, we've done it before. It sold out super quick. So we're going to make a bunch of it. And then blood orange vodka, same deal, sold out super quick before. So we're going to make a bunch of it. So that's next Saturday, October 12th. Come check it out. And we're going to take 10% of all revenue from that day and donate it to hurricane relief in Western North Carolina.
Excellent.
Nice.
That's awesome. Very
good.
cool.
They need it. They're pretty screwed up.
Yeah,
it
looks bad.
I'm going up
I
there.
have not visited, but it looks.
I'm
bad.
going tomorrow. I'm
You
leaving. Yeah, I'm driving back to Charleston tonight, and then tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. We're teaming up with Shoot Me in the Face. I can't remember the name of the distillery or a brewery. Is a brewery in downtown Asheville. We're going there with Bearcat Restaurant. We're bringing like 500 hot dogs. I got a pork butt on the smoker right now. Chicken salad. We're just bringing beer. They're bringing tequila, do shots with people, and more water than you've probably ever seen in your life. Cases upon cases of water. Yeah, we're just gonna go up there and just everything's free. Just give it all out.
Cool.
We're really looking forward to it. I wanted to tell you, for just the orange thing, if you do it again, you should in Virginia Beach, Virginia, and there's a thing called Crush Festival.
Yep.
Where like every bar creates an orange crush. They like rope off downtown. Everybody just gets shit faced and everybody drinks. It's a music event. It's a lot of fun. This would be cool to have a band over here somewhere and do Crush Fest here with your orange vodka and do orange crushes. I would come up for that. I'd get a hotel. I'd pull my tent out back probably. And
I was gonna say there's not many hotels out here.
Yeah, I'd just bring my tent. Yeah, I would come to Crush Fest.
Hit
I
your
love
hammock.
orange crushes.
Yeah.
They're the best.
That's funny.
Cool,
Awesome.
Craig. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Hollow Creek Distillery. You can find them everywhere. They have like 20 Instagram accounts.
I don't even know.
They have like one for each
honestly,
brand.
Honestly, I'm not.
Nice.
I don't even look at it.
Yeah.
That's always somebody else.
I don't blame you. I don't blame you.
I make whiskey. That's it.
Smart man.
If you're making your way through Columbia, South Carolina, definitely stop here. A little bit out of the way, but if you're already driving out here, it's easy. So if you're in South Carolina, you can come see it.
Yep.
And then the veteran release, you can come pick the barrel that we picked this today. It's a great barrel. I've been drinking it all day. So
Yeah. Veterans Day, right?
Yep.
Yes.
Do the release for that. So
That weekend. So November the 9th will be that Saturday.
Okay.
We'll release it in our store on November the 9th. And
Awesome.
y'all come by it. We're gonna hope to sell it through quick.
Yeah.
we got a badass sticker going on it too. So, and they're making a custom label for the front. It's going to be pretty awesome. So
It is an awesome sticker. I got a preview.
hell yeah.
That's great.
Sweet.
thank you for everything. Thank you for letting us do this and having us, and the hospitality. It's been great.
Absolutely. Coming out.
Of course.
Thank you. All right. Cheers, everybody.
Thinking